Okay. Yeah, so we will go ahead and get started. I'm assuming people will kind of filter in here. We got, I think, 32 RSVPs. So for I'm sorry, you said your name's Jody, right?
Jode.
Jode.
Yes.
Okay, so to just let you guys know what this is like a totally free group and participation is free, but these are our friends at Lisbon Project. They run a nonprofit. And so I'm going to give her the stage. Like, if you feel so compelled to get value out of this, we recommend just donating like 10 euros or something to their project. So Jody, if I will give you the stage here, if you want to tell people what Lisbon Project is.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sean, and thank you so much for having us, Lisbon Project, be able to present who we are and being willing to have us present what the heart is about Lisbon Project. So my name is Jode. I'm the Community Life Director at the Lisbon Project, and we are a very young organization. We are based in Lisbon, in Portugal. We've been around for 5 years, and our main aim is to help build a community for migrants and refugees to integrate into the city of Lisbon. We have 3 main pillars which help us to reach this goal, which is inclusion, empowerment, and mobilization. We believe that through inclusion, we can help people get together to understand, to break barriers of certain stereotypes that we might have across borders of different kinds of cultures and nationalities. And we do this through our community life department, which is all about creating relationships, creating awareness about the migration issues that we have, and also about the specific cultures. And so we do that through specific events where we have a showcase of the culture, where we have cooking workshops, or where we just get women together from different nationalities. We get youth together from different nationalities, and just opportunities for them to share life together and get to understand a little bit more about who they are. We also believe in empowerment, and this is done through our programs department. We've got 4 main programs.
Sorry to cut you off. I just wanted like a quick elevator pitch, but I think that's probably a good enough description, and I will give them your link. So this is like, we actually built their website initially like 4 years ago. So before they had a website, we put that together for them, and they do amazing work locally. So Jode, I just wanted to give you kind of like a quick, 1 minute elevator pitch, but we don't need to go too deep. So thank you for coming out to represent it, and I'll just send people to your donate page if they want to give anything.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Okay. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
All right. Okay. So joining us now, Tom, I'm going to make it so you can share your screen.
Perfect.
Yeah. So everybody, this is Tom. So I met Tom. Ironically, Matt, I just got off the phone with him about 3 hours ago. I heard with him.
Brilliant.
So, yeah. But yeah, I'll let you introduce yourself. Tom, you've got your full screen now, and if you share your screen, it'll probably take over.
Perfect. So hopefully this comes through okay.
Yep.
All good. Perfect. Well, guys, thank you so much for inviting me along. Just from what Sean told me, I think it sounds like a brilliant community you guys have got. One day I'd love to make it down in person, have a coffee or a beer with you all. Lisbon today just sounds unbelievably appealing. It's 2 degrees. We've had on and off snow, on and off sleet. And to be honest, I did vow today that as a British person, I would not start the conversation by talking about the weather, but I clearly just have. So thank you so much for having me along. I promise that's the last time I'll mention the weather. So my name is Tom, and I'm the founder of Kilo. So Kilo is a travel jobs marketplace, and it's been built using the wonderful world of no code. So my background previously is BD. It's to be honest, more on the sales side. So I am relatively new to this journey. I'd say I started building Kilo in around October, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm sure, like a lot of you, it's taken a long time to find that something where you're able to enter that flow state. This is definitely it for me. But again, as I say, I'm relatively new and early to this journey. So for as much as this is me talking to you this evening, If there's anything that you think, oh, Tom, that is done terribly, or I could do that far better, please do jump in and say, because I'm as much here to learn from you as I am to hopefully just share a bit of inspiration this evening and a little bit about the project that I've been working on. So guys, please don't be afraid to jump in. Without further ado, so what I'll do is I'll give you a quick run through of Kilo, and then basically there'll be two main things I'd like to leave you with today in terms of Kilo, and also Webflow, which is obviously what you're here for. So the little bit about Kilo then. Kilo basically is a travel jobs marketplace for those that are fed up of looking for jobs. So as we know, looking for a job is a pretty bloody tedious thing at the best of times. It's even worse for travel. If you go on LinkedIn and you search for a role in airlines, you're faced with 18 out of 20 unrelated results. Generally insurance, banking, and life is far too short for to work in insurance. So apologies to anyone who enjoys the world of insurance or knows anyone who works in the world of insurance. We're there to help the people who want to go and find that great travel role. So in a nutshell, travel jobs marketplace, searching for roles sucks, and we're out to make that better. So anyone who wants to find a role in head office, so in the creative departments, for example, or pricing, or the sales departments of airlines and travel tech. And you can see here the team. So when I say we, it's pretty much just the two of us. So obviously you just met me, I'm Tom. And then you have here my very glamorous co-founder, ChatGPT, which I'm sure for a lot of your either your projects or your businesses now, this has become an absolutely indispensable tool. And thinking back to October and November when we didn't have this, it's almost like, how on earth did we survive without it? And the way it's been built, so as we'll go through in just a second, Webflow obviously is the front end. And then these are the other tools here. So JetBoost, which we'll go into, which is basically a way of dynamically filtering and taking those results and surfacing them. Zapier, which I'm sure you all know, process automation and creating those flows. Airtable for storing all this lovely information that we collect. MemberStack for taking that, basically creating those the gated content, but also the user authentication and allowing us to actually personalize what a user is seeing. Figma for assets and design, and then I don't know why I haven't really just got bloody everything here under the OpenAI ChatGPT sign. So, but really primarily JavaScript queries, anything to do with code, to be honest, and then just some general life advice. As I'm sure you can appreciate, when you're on this journey alone, there are some things where you just think, oh gosh, I wish I had someone to ask. But thankfully, there is this now that's wonderful tool. But I don't want you thinking, if you have seen the film, I think it's Her with Joaquin Phoenix. It's not quite that bad yet, where I'm falling in love with ChatGPT, but it's pretty close. So today's demo, what I'm hoping to leave you with is, for me, there are two big parts to Webflow which make it such a powerful and exciting tool for creating no-code businesses and also bring your projects to life. So the first one, and number one in a nutshell, basically, is I'd like you to think about Webflow is, imagine you are sat in the middle of a room and around you is this wonderful, beautiful library. And essentially, you're able to pull anything off the shelves and any book into the center of the room in a flash. And that's what we're going to have a look at. Firstly, with the CMS and our ability to store information, and also filter it. So we'll go into JetBoost as well. And then also the second part is basically Webflow can act as a load of really sexy forms. So users can input information, and then it's incredibly powerful what we can do with that information. So user input, we can then send it using Zapier to our backend Airtable, and then bring it back to Webflow and create an app style experience. So these are the two things we're going to have a look at today. But guys, as I say, please do jump in. Would love this to be almost more of a discussion than anything. So without further ado, we will jump into this first section here, just the intro to the CMS and filtering and bringing information to life. So if I just take you to the Kilo homepage, absolutely an absolute sucker for neon, as you can see here. So apologies if this is a bit too much pink and purple, but this is Kilo. And what we can see here is a number of roles on the homepage. And this is the way we can start to think about Webflow, is it's basically a lovely blank canvas in which we can start to bring this information to life. So we can see here a hot ticket of the week. So a hot role we've got at the moment is a product manager for Only Management. And just to bring this to life, I'm just going to click into it. And what you can start to see here is So firstly, where this job actually comes from a company wise, the job title, and then lots of other attributes that we can start to see here. And this really is Webflow's power play. So if we come and have a look at Webflow, which is actually sat behind this site, basically what we're doing, we've got another role here, not the EasyJet role, it's the Hopper one. But what we have here is basically a blank page with lots of fantastic information on it, which will hopefully help a job seeker who is interested in this space. And what we can see here, and the way it works is just simply, if I click on this heading here, it's text which is attributable to the collection. So we can see here, we're basically saying to Webflow, populate this text with something from this collection. And this is where I'd like to introduce the idea of the CMS. Actually, you might laugh, but I cannot for the life of me remember what the acronym actually means. John, is anyone who knows actually what is it content management system?
Sorry, say that again.
What's actually what does CMS mean? Is it content management system?
Yeah, content management system.
Yeah. See, so you can spot a bit of a Webflow noob in myself. So basically what we can see here is all the different ways in which we can actually start to store information in Webflow. And this is immensely powerful because not only the number of ways in which we can cut the data, but also the depth we can go to in each of these sections. So what you can see here, if I just scroll down, is the collection that we're using to bring these items to life. So if we just click into here, this is where we basically store all of the information about those roles. So you can see here job title, we can see the company it responds to, where that location is, the category, the actual job description, and also other information about the role here. And the reason this is so powerful is because this is virtually unlimited. So if we come back for our role here, the amount of information that we can actually bring to life about a role is really, really clever. Not the work I've done, it's all Webflow. But as you can see, we can bring lots of active information for the user. And the reason that this is so powerful is when we start, sorry, go on.
Sorry, Tom, can you show the data model behind this first so we have an idea of like what the CMS is showing us?
I didn't quite catch that, Sean.
Can you show us the data model so we can get an idea of like what the structure is of the database and like what this is actually doing, showing us data-wise?
Yes. So it might actually just be easier if I just show you the settings on the CMS. Is that helpful there, Sean?
I don't know. Can you guys see that? Okay. Yeah, that's
okay. It's probably not the clearest, but it's basically just showing that these are you can basically capture anything that you'd like in these CMSs in this collection items and bring them to life on the web page. So what we're doing here, so if we just look at company, for example, and job location, these are the fields that we've actually set to actually collect for this collection. And if we come into an item here, this is where we can see that I've actually populated these. So we can see that this workforce manager responds to kiwi.com for Brno, and it's a job in HR. What we're then doing is basically taking our page that we can see here, and we're saying, in fact, it might actually be helpful if I just do a quick example. All I've done there is I've just dragged a collection list item. So this wonderful navigator here, we're going to drag and drop into our page that you can see here. And now it's really as simple as connecting this to the CMS. And all we're going to do, let's say we want to find out the country for which this job corresponds with. We're just going to click country, add a header within that collection item, get our text from the country, and we can see there it corresponds to a role in Spain. So this is how, basically, just to give you a very quick introduction to collection items and CMS, the way to think about Webflow is it's one blank canvas. You can start to bring in lots of information and lots of fab information from those filing cabinets around you, which are those collection items. Now, that question, Sean, sorry?
Sorry, what's that?
All good. No, sorry, I just thought it was a question. All good.
Yeah.
So where this starts to get interesting is thinking about the ways in which we can actually cut this data. So the reason that we haven't just got one collection item here is just for the jobs is essentially the ways in which we can look at slicing and dicing that job information. So if we come back into the collection item here, come back to our settings just so we can see what we're looking at, you'll notice there's several fields here that are multi-reference. So we've got country, industry, the mode of working. So that's looking at hybrid or remote work. And if we then come into the collection here, the beady-eyed amongst you will notice that actually these are colored in purple. And the reason that they're colored in purple is because they are multi-reference items. And what this allows us to do is slice and dice the job data. And this becomes really interesting when we start thinking about the needs of a job board. So a job board in its simplest form is a load of jobs just almost on a page. But if you think about a user requirement, none of those jobs, or a small majority of the jobs, will actually be applicable to a user. So let's say I'm looking for remote work. I want to work for a particular sector. I want to work for a particular company size. That sort of information is exactly what we need as job seekers when we're actually looking for a role. And the CMS helps us essentially to slice and dice that data in a way we're about to have a look at now. So one thing you'll have to forgive me for is there's loads and loads of aviation jargon in here. Us travel geeks and aviation geeks are a very particular breed. So you will see as we go through, there's lots of sort of aviation acronyms and things like check-in and start your journey. So it's a little bit corny, but yeah, we are a little bit nerdy. So as we go through, bear that in mind. But all we're going to do is start to look at the ways in which we can actually cut that job information. And if you think back to our CMS collection here, one of the collections we've actually got is countries, and we're going to go through the other ones as well. What this allows us to do is basically take the job information and slice and dice it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick UK. Let's say we want to work in hybrid work, and we want to work in sales. Let's say travel tech, all sizes of company. And let's say I really care about status. So I'm going to pick an industry leader. And let's say I want a mid-level role. So these are the roles that we're actually left with. So this is where I'd like to introduce another tool, which is basically powering that filter selection. So we can see here, and this is JetBoost, guys. So this is basically dynamic filtering using our CMS items. So basically for all of these different ways to cut the data, you can actually set a filter up. And the way it works is actually incredibly simple. So JetBoost, I'm not sure who the founder is, but incredible technology. If we just come and find our job search page here, all we're basically doing is applying a class to our collection list. So if we come here, all we've had to do to make this a reality is utilize the class function here. So JetBoost filter W3R7. So we're basically saying to Webflow, go and find W3R7 in JetBoost and then filter our collection items, which you can see here. So this is our big long list of jobs that sits at the bottom of this job search. And on the job list here, this is where we've got all of our filter interactions. So we're basically saying to JetBoost, for each of these filters, please go and be able to filter this big long list of jobs that sits at the bottom of this page here. So I'm going to stop there. I realize that might have been in depth. That might have been super high level. I'm not sure. So Sean, I'll stop. And if there's any questions on just basically how this is configured or how it works, and let me know before we jump on to probably the more fun bit.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions so far? Bill.
What's the database for Airtable?
Yeah. Yeah, it's Airtable is the database, right, Tom?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and we'll jump into that in just a sec as well. And I can show you a bit more of what that looks like.
Can you show it without showing like sensitive data, just like show the structure of the Airtable database?
Yeah, of course. So it might be worth, I think, just on the next section, Sean, there's like there's probably an easier way of showing the data structure with some sign-up data, which we can do in just a sec.
Okay.
Alrighty. So
yeah, that's all the questions that people.
Cool. So yeah, basically that first section, think about yourself. It's sat in the middle of a room, the ability to pull lots of things off shelves and find a page in a book. is the way I like to think of it. That's my layman and very, gosh, you can tell I come from the world of BD, can't you? Not very in-depth way of looking at things. So what we're going to do now is have a look at the other side, which is, and the other remarkable thing about Webflow is the ability to basically input information, take that into a backend and bring it out, and create almost app-like experiences, and really make our user personalized. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come back to our homepage, come to our create account section. So naturally, with a job board and thinking about the way that Kilo is going to work as a business, we want people to be able to find the jobs that they want. To do that, we don't want them really going through that search process every time. It's a little bit cumbersome and it adds friction. So what we want them to do is basically sign up for an account. And as you can see here, I warned you about the aviation language. We can see here underneath the word check-in. So what we're going to do is just jump through this process, and then we are going to have a look at how it works in the back end. So basically what we're doing now is we're taking this user information, we're inputting it. I'm just going to do, I just need to think of a random word. Con plus London at kilojobs.co. And so really, if we're a jobs board, we need to know what our users want. So let's say I'm a user, I want to work in the UK, I want to work in sales, I want my work to be hybrid. Again, I really care about status. And I might also want to look at a startup. So let's pick emerging star as well. Let's say I want to work for something that's less than a large company, entry level, mid-level roles and junior roles. I want to work in travel tech and I want to work for an airline. What we're basically doing now is we're telling us everything we need to know in order to make sure that we can give this person really clever and specific job description. So what we're doing, I'm just going to hit start your journey. And what's happening in the background, as we're about to see, is this is creating a member in MemberStack. So I will take you through just what's behind the scenes here. You've then got a welcome to Kilo. And what this will do is it will populate my members only area. So welcome to your flight deck, Tom. And what you can see here is all the information I just submitted, as well as some other information which we're about to cover. So if we look at what's just happened, and we're going to come to our user onboarding form. The way to think about Webflow, as we've just said, is loads of sexy forms, taking that information, going into the back end and bring it back out. So the very first step that we need to do here is basically creating a sign-up form. So it's as simple as just adding a form block here. So this is all I've done to start this process. In the form section here, obviously I've done a little bit of styling just to make it look a little bit prettier, but you can see first name, last name, email, and password. And now, obviously, this information needs somewhere to live. And this is where we can start to introduce Zapier, a processor tool, which I'm sure you're all incredibly familiar with. But basically, what we're saying is create a member in MemberStack once this form has been filled in. So what we've done is we've basically gone in and we've said, once this form is full, collect that information. And the way that we've done this is MemberStack utilizes what are called custom attributes. So if we come onto this form here, you can see, I'm just going to call it a wider form, sign up form. What we've done is we've named this form sign up. So using the custom attributes, data MS form equals sign up. It basically says, hey, MemberStack, I'm about to send you loads of great information on my user. Please collect it and create a profile. And the way that we've done this, if we scroll down to the attributes here, is in MemberStack, all we've done is just match these fields to our sign up form. So first name, really intuitive. MemberStack says, right, okay, Tom, you want to go and collect first name data? All you need to do is have data MS member and first name as your field. So you can see, right, that tells me in Webflow, all I need to do is make sure that my custom attributes are reflecting what it says in MemberStack. So data MS member equals first name. Similarly, last name, data MS member equals last name. So as you can see, guys, incredibly logical, very intuitive. And basically, once this information has been submitted, and it's the same for all of these here. So every country that you can see here, we've got a field that's been created for it. And the way that this works is it's basically a Boolean, so it's true or false data. So it says, right, find me the true values and map them to what you can see here in MemberStack. So actually incredibly powerful, the combination of Webflow and MemberStack to start with. You've already got the ability to now have members on your Webflow site. But of course, what we need to do now is have a look at where we can store this information. I want to know how many members I've got, for example, what they like. So we can start to send them, let's say, emails for roles that are relevant. So this is where we start to introduce Airtable. So what we're saying is create a member record in Airtable. So using this information which we've just collected, again, none of this is private because it's all me. Tom Walsh, here's my email, and also all that true or false data that we've started to collect on the user preferences. So if we just scroll down here, you can see there's basically every field in MemberStack, there's an equivalent field in Airtable. And I can show you that here. So all we've got is those same fields all mapped with that same data. So we're saying to Zapier, everything that goes into MemberStack, please put that in Airtable. But then we can start to get a little bit clever with it. So what we need to do with this information is basically start to transform all that true or false data. So yeah, fantastic, it's a false for Hungary and it's a true for UK. But how do we make that kind of actionable and usable? So the first thing that we need to do is start to manipulate this data in Airtable. So you'll see lots of true or falses here. And then for each of these fields, and guys, I must actually add on this. This might be a totally crap way of doing it, or it might be a fantastic way. I have no idea. So if you can think of any tips or any help or any better way of doing it, I'm all ears. But this is the way that's working at the moment. Is basically we're saying to Airtable, go and find that true value, and where you find it, populate it. So we all have an if statement from our lovely days deep in Excel spreadsheets, I'm sure. Go and find that true value and bring that to the surface. So we can see here United Kingdom. And this is the same for each of our sections. And crucially, what we can then do with that information is send that back to Webflow and actually create that member in Webflow. So we've already created it in MemberStack. We've taken that information, we've put it in our database, and now we're bringing it back to Webflow. So what we can do is create a live item. And just going back to what we discussed in that first half, what we're doing in our members section here, we've actually got that ability to send that to that collection item. So that member gets created, send it to Webflow. If we just come through the process here, we're sending that key information. Now, what we can also start to do is manipulate that information. So we've got here, out of that true or false data, that's gone into Airtable. And what we've done is we've said, go and find the true value and then bring that back to Webflow. So you can see here, I want to work in the countries that I'd like to work in, all that information that we need to understand what that customer actually would like or what that user would like, and send that back to Airtable. So that's that. And then the next step, we should just make sure that MemberStack is updated with a Webflow ID in order for any updates to work in the future. And I'm just going to come down.
Tom, can you speak to the role of each of these systems? So like Webflow is your front end. It's like the beautiful UI where people sign up. Airtable housing specific preferences, it sounds like, and then MemberStack is like just the member portal piece of this.
Yeah, exactly right. Couldn't have said it better myself, Sean. So yeah, just think about Webflow as almost as our front room, and everything that goes on around. Let's say it's like a dinner party, right? So people come in the front door. That is MemberStack. Off to your left, you have the dining room. That's Webflow. That's where the magic happens, but it's not where the food is prepared. So the food is prepared using Airtable, which is in the kitchen. So guest comes in the front door, MemberStack signs up. Food comes in from the kitchen into that dining room, which is Webflow. So what we can start to do, and what is differentiate a little bit further, just around how MemberStack actually stands out, because I think that'd be quite useful. So we've got our database. We're sending all that information back to Webflow, and of course then, as I'm sure you guys are familiar with, we can then start to integrate other steps as well. If I get a little Slack message every time someone signs up, Loops is an email provider. Would actually highly recommend. Much more intuitive than MailChimp, and a bit like Notion, basically for email. So once we've got this user information, what we can then start to do is obviously send marketing material, and also I'm just going to come back to my homepage. If there's any roles that are applicable for that particular user, we can then start to dynamically create that content as well. So this is the beauty of MemberStack, I would say, is it's a nice little addition to Webflow, just because we can start to create these gated content and these private user areas. So what we've got here through the use of MemberStack is a private member area that we're actually able to just surface content which is relevant to that user. So obviously we wouldn't want any other user seeing, let's say, my preferences or any other user's preferences. So we're actually able to bring that to life in a private area. So yeah, just to bring that example up again, Sean, you've got Webflow as your front end. MemberStack allows you to actually hide things from certain communities, from certain members, but also allow them to actually start to have a bit of a hub and a bit of a home page in which they can actually start to see their stored information. And also what we can do, if there's any roles, let's say, that are applicable, this button that we can actually click here. So nothing matches my preferences just yet, but there is one. So a category manager for secret escapes. What's happening there is we're basically sending a URL that we've created off the back of the member preferences that we can see in our Airtable section. So what we're doing here on our private members page, you'll see we had a button which just said, we'll come back to flight deck, see my bookings. And what we're actually doing is bringing all this together under one button. So we'll come back to the Airtable document here. And what we're doing with all this information here is we're saying, please capture it and please put it into a URL. So country was United Kingdom because that's our choice. And what we're actually doing is taking this and we're sending it back to Webflow. So there's a separate Zap I've got, which basically sends this back to the Webflow CMS, in which there's a line which says my URL. And then what we're doing is we're hiding that behind a button. So you can see here, see my bookings on their private area. So no one else will be able to see this. No one else will be able to access this particular link. And what we're doing actually when we click this is we're actually linking in with the first part of the presentation today. This is basically just JetBoost. So what we've got here is the ability for our JetBoost filtering, our dynamic filtering on our CMS to actually be influenced through the URL. So what we can do is start to create an almost app-like experience just through the use of gathering those preferences, sending them all back to, storing them all in Airtable, and then bringing them back in the form of a link, and then using our JetBoost dynamic CMS filtering, we're actually able to start to create some really personalized stuff. So I suppose this is, it might be a good place to stop for some questions, but hopefully this is an illustration of how you can start to create those app-like experiences and why Webflow is such a powerful tool. So I'll pause there, Sean, if there's any questions or anything so far.
I'm impressed how you're able to cobble all these different systems together. Like Webflow has a gorgeous UI, so I understand why you chose to use it. I guess I'm very much coming from the bubble world where it's like more conducive to building an application, but I'm impressed how you've been able to cobble together these different solutions to make an application out of something that wasn't intended to build an application, right? You know what I mean? Yeah,
I think some of that's naivety, I think, of not really knowing a better way to do it. I think that's just as I've sort of gone along this journey myself, that the ability to plug things in basically to Webflow, using JPO and using other tools like that. I think that, and I'm just scratching the surface, I think here. I'm sure there's plenty of other ways in which we can look at this, but yeah, it is surprisingly powerful.
I miss, what is the source? Like, what is the source of all these job openings, you're scraping something for that, or where are they coming from?
Yeah, where I can, that's great. So where it's legally, legally allowed to do so, yeah, it's great. Otherwise, it can be a little bit of a manual process. But yeah, that's the way.
For convenient, like, so this JetBoost thing, basically, you've got like you're ingesting all these records that are out there publicly available, but you're putting them in a much more convenient format and allowing people to filter and find them. And so that is the service you're providing, essentially.
Yeah, basically, yeah, that's it. So it's basically taking all that information, which is in various places around the internet, putting it in one nice list, and then saying, hey, you know, here's the nice list, but also we can tailor it down along these 6 or 7 attributes. So yes, because we all know how crap it is searching for a job, and I think having that ability to filter is going to be quite powerful.
Yeah, cool. And then the only other question I had was that loops thing that you mentioned. How is that different than MailChimp? Why do you like it?
Notion, basically it feels and looks a little bit like Notion. So I can show you on here, and I promise I'm not on commission for loops, although maybe I should be, based on this little demo. So it functions in the same way that you'd be used to with Zapier. So all I've got is my Zaps that's set up. So anytime that someone signs up, I assign them a tag, and they're added to an audience which is welcome to Kilo. That's what you can see here in terms of the sign up. And if I just open I'll just stop the loop, and then I'll edit my email. So you can start to see here, everything is just really smooth. So drag and drop. MailChimp I find a little bit frustrating in terms of the ways in which you interact with it. Everything's super smooth here. So if I were to just add a line in here, for example, sod's law is not working, but if I just drag and drop here, so it's just beautiful to use. So if you use Notion for your any of your personal documents or your business documentation, you'll be so used to using it. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Cool.
Netherlands. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
No worries. Anything else I could? Any questions? Any tips or anything that you feedback?
Yeah, the question, I don't know if you can hear it. He said, how much does it cost with all the subscriptions for the different SaaS you're using? What are you able to share what your costs are?
Yeah, so Webflow is about $40 a month. Zapier is an equivalent. JetBoost and MemberStack together are about €50. So I'm trying to add this up. So it's probably about 130 euros for Webflow, Zapier, MemberStack, and JetBoost. When you start to add an Airtable, 160, 170 euros a month. So
cool.
Yeah, to get an idea off the ground, it's not expensive.
Nice. And how are you, if no one else has any questions, I'll just keep asking because I'm just curious. How are you acquiring customers? Is it at this point kind of word of mouth, or do you have like a system by which you acquire people?
Yeah, so it's a really good point. So the site is, for employers anyway, and the monetization, it's only going to be as good as the users. So it's pretty hacky at the moment, Sean. So it's basically reaching out to people who might benefit from Kilo, so people who currently work in travel. So I'm actually doing the proper launch tomorrow. So it's going to be, I guess, lots of little hacky stuff like posting in forums. But yeah, just trying to think of those little go-to-market ideas where I get users. The main channel is going to be LinkedIn though. So trying to drive traffic to the site through LinkedIn and posts based on my network, which is mostly travel.
Cool. Yeah, you should target TAP Airlines. I know they're having like a ton of unrest right now, so I don't know. That's kind of an aggressive move, but maybe run some targeted ads.
Hey, if I can help you down in Lisbon, that'd be good.
Cool. I don't have any more questions. Do you guys? Anyone? While we got Tom.
Maybe about the content spreading.
The what?
The content spreading that is running into the agencies.
the question was, are you able to share anything about the content scraping of how you acquire stuff, or are you using a tool for that, or how are you doing that?
Yeah, so it's Python, Selenium, and then XPath statements. So basically, go and load the page in a Chrome driver. So just like a user would, go and locate these various things on the web page and bring them back. The one thing I would say about Webflow is the ability to upload CSV data is beautiful. So once you've got that big bank of data, the ability to then upload, just make sure the columns are matched to what you have in your CMS and you're away. So it's actually really, really quick and efficient. And also I've just started to try and do this, but working with the API as well. So there's a collections API that Webflow have. So once you actually have that, the ability to get that information and then connect it straight to the collections API, actually it's very smooth. So yeah, another plus of Webflow.
Cool. All right. Well, Tom, hey, thank you so much. Round of applause for Tom for taking the time out.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tom.
No worries.
This is going to be recorded. I'll put this up. It'll be probably up tomorrow, but for the people who couldn't make it tonight. So thank you again.
No worries. Catch you soon, John.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
All right. And I'm going to do, so let's check now, because we got some time. Let me, for the sake of the recording, I'm going to share screen, and then I'm going to open the Canny board. Oh yeah. And then for the people who weren't in the room to see this, this is the Lisbon project site. So if you feel like you got value, consider making a donation. They have this big yellow donate button here, and I think like a 10 euro or whatever you feel comfortable donating. We're going to always keep this group free, but I figure this is a good way to like support them. So yeah, so let's look at the meetup. We use Canny to plan the next meetings. So we have this. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but this is what we use. So the Webflow is the highest ranked one. That's why we did it. It looks like, so the next one is this one, which is a blog post I did maybe 2 years ago. I have a design process that I use for how I approach making a new application. And it's, I don't know, I just use the Bob Ross, the painter guy, of kind of like how to like build a painting and think about it. So it sounds like that's the next highest ranked one, unless there's anything that you guys have like burning desire to hear about in no code. I want to make it as useful as possible for everyone. So, so we'll plan to do this one next. There's some flyers on the table. So grab one of those if you are interested. This is something we do. I'll pull up the webpage so people can see it in the recording. But this is basically my full-time passion project right now. I organize these hackathons. These are impact hackathons. We're starting in Lisbon, but I'm using no code, and I'm intending to make this like a platform so other people can bring this to their city. But the next one is April 15th and 22nd. We're going to do the Ideathon, and then the next Saturday we'll do the Buildathon. And so what it is I have we have an awesome space. 42 is going to host us for that one, and then the Buildathon will actually be here at Le Wagon. This is a chance to work with really smart people, all different skill sets. We have a good mix of like locals and expats, nomads. Bring them all together, and we have this formula that we take people through to go from concept, like zero, nothing, to a vetted idea. And you're going to be basically, you end that first day pitching to a panel of legit impact investors. And we have 1K in capital that's going to be pushed into these projects. If no code is of an interest, like this is a perfect environment to actually put your skills to good use and to like get surrounded by other people who have adjacent skill sets. There's a really good video if you're interested in learning more. This is like just a 3-minute video from one of our last events. It gives you a flavor for what it is. But yeah, if this is of interest, just go ahead. You can apply here. It's open to everyone. We do try to cap it at, I think, 40 this time. And yeah, it should be a great day. So consider joining that. This is happening April 15th. Yeah, and then the April 22nd will be that following Saturday for the build day. So whichever ones win, we're going to actually build those MVPs in no code that night. So try to like have launched working functional products the next Saturday. Yeah. Cool. All right, anything else you guys want to cover?
How can I apply?
Yeah, just go to problematic.app. Or just scan that QR code on the flyer. Yeah, yep, that'll take you to this page. And then there's just like a short checklist. Yeah, I can even show you here. So yeah, this too is free as well, but you got to just complete these onboarding steps. And depending on what role, if you intend to lead a team, just yeah, this is also a good example. Like this whole application was written in Bubble. I wrote this. It's underpinned by a trading platform. Like I can go so deep. I just rolled out this message bus system, which I may demo. Actually, I may do like a double, show that Bob Ross design philosophy and then show like the system that I just rolled out for this. It's super cool. Everything's built in Bubble. Yeah, like literally it's a trading platform. You know, it sucks that like FTX happened recently. I feel like it's given a bad name, but like, yeah, there's a whole bounty system. I have a project library here. So now when people submit projects, they get to like go through this wizard and then they set this little like slider and then it generates a cap table. And, you know, they record a video for it. It can have like nested, unlimited nesting sub-projects. Each one of these can have a bounty with it. And then so if you come in here and you want to work on something, you commit to a date by which you can have it finished. It lists you there. People can see who's working on what. And then when you're ready to submit it, you go in here, pick the asset that you're submitting, and then basically review the trade. It creates a trade here in exchange for that bounty. And so there's like I said, it's essentially generating almost like a DAO for each project. It's like a million tokens, instantiates the wallet for it. And then, yeah, like every value exchange, it tracks it. Like, so we did this in the room at our last event with poker chips and like paper cap tables just to prove it out. And then I turned it into an application using Bubble. And we're going to use this at the next event. And I'm super excited because I think this is the game changer, right? Like when the judges this time, they can actually make silent offers and the people will accept obviously the best one for them. And then the winner of the event is actually the team that has the biggest increase in market cap. And so that allows us then to like it'll definitely support fresh projects, but people can the idea here is to like make a continuous event and people can keep coming back. And like, so if their project was started at a previous event, they come back and they advance the ball, and then like new projects can compete with existing projects, and it's all just like who increases the market cap the most by the investment. So
And I guess people see this just have to be your right?
sorry, say that again.
Because at the moment, I assume that you've got your judges, right?
Yeah.
Doling out the values which the opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Yes, scout sidelines and people could provide resource into this market themselves.
Sorry, I guess
So I might work on project A, but I'm really interested in helping out B. I don't have time.
Yeah, so I deliberately chose this approach to make it so instead of forming teams and saying you must commit to this one team, they have to fix it together. Yeah, you can use your time as widely as possible. Like, let's create an efficient market of this thing. So it's like if you have multiple things you want to work on, it's up to you how you spend your time and what chips you're getting and all that. So I think it could be a really cool way to do it. And yeah, and it's really elegant because it's gonna when the judges make their investments, which are essentially just donations, really. They're going to set the valuation by virtue of doing that. And then now we have like an objective winner. There's no more voting and like whatnot. It's just, you're going to see the market cap of it. So that's the idea. Cool. All right. So with that, I think we include it. If you guys get value out of it tonight, also be sure to just give a rating or whatever and comment on the meetup because it helps draw new people. So yeah. Cool. Thank you for coming, you guys.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.